Welcome to Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss and discover the challenges and triumphs of those living with NLD, nonverbal learning disability, and other learning challenges such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and any other invisible learning differences that one may live with. And I like to interview individuals as well who live with various learning challenges. So if you know anybody, please point me their way, or if you are that individual, I would love to interview you on various topics. So please let me know. And I welcome you to this podcast.
This podcast or episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I have had 8.5 years actually of therapy, so I know it can change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works, but what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like to some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, or even live chat sessions with your therapist so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy and you can start communicating with your therapist in 48 hours. In under 48 hours, actually. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And special offer to Living with Invisible Learning Challenge listeners, you get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/code. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ Living with Invisible Learning Challenge. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. And Patreon is also sponsoring this podcast, which is a way for you to offer different resources for your listeners for your podcast. So I have on there transcriptions of the episodes and audio. So if you would like to purchase those, the audio without ads is $5. With the transcription, it's $10. So I'll provide the Patreon link for that. And Spotify also sponsors the podcast. So if you want to become a supporter, please just donate $1 a month. That's very helpful. I don't use the money myself. I don't really want to make money off this podcast. I use the money for donating to the NBLD project, or if I do use it myself, I actually use it to pay off the website that I created for this podcast. So it goes back into the podcast either way. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode that is going to be on minimizing distractions. Oh, and there's also podcast swag. So if you want to look into that, that is on Redbubble, and I'll provide a link for that as well. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. I am doing my first podcast from my townhouse. So today we are going to be talking about how to minimize distractions before they start. And I'm using an article from Medium newsletter that I saved, and I'm using some other articles. So let's get started. Neurodivergent students, including those with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and other cognitive differences, often approach studying in unique ways that play to their strengths and accommodate challenges. The first article is titled um, Minimize Distractions, and it is from Medium, um, by Harris Sokol. Quote, one of the best things I ever did for my productivity, and it's a super small thing, was to hide my dock, Mac OS. Actually, I remove all the preloaded apps I'll never use on my computer. Pages, new GarageBand, then I hide it. Finally, no more manipulative red dots. Only after getting rid of those dots and ever present icons do you realize how much energy tech companies have poured into drawing your attention away from whatever you're doing. Close quote. So I think that's a good thing to do because it's a good way to get rid of your distractions that you might be having while you're trying to work for academic reasons or for personal reasons or for professional reasons. Um, and um, I think that if you minimize your distractions, you're going to be more productive. And then you can be able to um, do more, and you can also get more things done because speaking from personal experience, when I since I work for my parents, and when it's just the three of us at work, it takes quite a bit for all of us to get everything done, and each of us helps each other out with different tasks and different areas and different skills that we have. So we all work together as one, and we kind of try to help each other, um, you know, get things accomplished because it's just us. And if you do what Harris was suggesting, you hide them, your dock, and you remove things you're not going to use. That's actually a good thing. And you get rid of the notifications. That's good too. For me, I actually don't remove my dock, um, or hide my dock. I use pretty much everything that's on my app. I did remove some things I don't use, and I have a um, MacBook Pro, and I use basically everything. So I just keep it up, but I play music in the background to help me focus. So everybody's different. Do what you think will work for you, and play around with it. There might be some things that work at first and don't work forever, but I'm sure you can figure it out. I also have a to-do list that I use. I actually use a program called Good Task on my phone, and it's really helpful because you can create different lists for tasks, and you can set the priority, and you can set it to recurring. I even have one for the podcast, and you can put different sub steps in there, and you can say how often you're going to do it, and so forth. So um it's a lot easier than some people would think uh to do. So I would say that um you know if you can be more productive in that way by um, having a to-do list either in Good Task or in Daylight. That's a paid program for companies to use. Um, I use that at work. Daylight is actually really good because you can create a list of tasks to do, and then you can share it with everybody, and then you can also delegate tasks to other people. Like if you want them to approve uh, a post you created for social media, or let's say you're having an event coming up and you need them to approve the description listing of the event before you make it public, or you made changes to your website and you want your boss to approve them before you make it public, whatever, you can do that. You can also have a calendar on there for appointments and times that you work on different projects. So it's pretty cool. It's called Daylight, Daylit, E. And so I do that quite a bit. Um, and what else? So let's see. I was just updating my tasks actually in there. So the second article is titled Easily Distracted: How to Tune Out Distractions, Focus on School by Attitude Editors, verified, updated on August 7th of 2024. Quote, quote, children with ADHD experience a lower level of brain arousal, which means that they are easily distracted by internal and external stimuli. Uh, use these school and home strategies to improve focus and comprehension. Focus solutions in the classroom. Select seating wisely. Keeping kids with ADHD close to the teacher and away from doors or windows will help minimize potential distractions and provide the best stayed focused results. Allow all students to use distraction blockers in order to prevent singling out children with ADHD. Let everyone try privacy dividers, earphones, or earplugs to block distractions during seat work or tests. Keep things interesting. Alternate between high and low interest activities, and when possible, keep lesson periods short or vary the pacing from one lesson to the next. Accommodate different learning styles. Use a variety of strategies and teaching techniques to accommodate the multitude of learning styles in the room so all students have the opportunity to approach lessons the way they learn best. Include visual, auditory, and kinesthetic facets to all lessons. Also give students opportunities to work cooperatively, individually, and with the group. Redirect rather than reprimand. Instead of scolding a student who becomes distracted, redirect him in a way that doesn't cause embarrassment. Sometimes asking a child with ADD a question you know he can answer, or giving nonverbal cues such as standing close and patting him on the shoulder, can bring the child back into focus. Focus solutions at home. Establish a daily homework routine. Some children need to take a break between school and homework, or may need frequent breaks during between assignments. Figure out what works best for your child in order to help her or him avoid distractions and procrastination. Help your kid with ADHD set up in a distraction-free environment. Excuse me. Sometimes the best learning environment can actually be the kitchen table with music playing in the background. Experiment until you find the ideal learning spot. Get her or him started. Sit down with your child and make sure he or she understands what is required for each assignment. Supervise as needed. Most children with ADHD need significant adult supervision to keep on task. As situations improve, the child matures, you can move away from constant supervision to frequent check ins to make sure your child is on task. Allow short breaks between assignments. Have your child stretch to or have a snack once one assignment is complete. This can help make his or her workload seem more manageable. Break down large assignments. Divide big assignments into bites, each one with a clear goal. If your child feels like a task is manageable, he'll or she will be less likely to become distracted. Close quote. So those are actually very good ways to structure the workload for ADHD students or ADD students. And I would say that would work for students with autism as well, actually, because some of them are very similar in how they get distracted. So that would be good to apply to both of them. And also, I would say that um, what it said earlier about in the classroom with the teacher, um, sometimes they might need breaks while you're at school, actually, too. I used to be an aide for ADHD students or autism spectrum students, and they needed breaks throughout the day if they were in a general ed classroom rather than in a classroom on their own. So I would encourage you to let your students take breaks if you can. Then that works better for them and better for you. Um, and better for your other students too, who are probably neurotypicals, or maybe you have more than one neurodivergent in the classroom. Um, and if you do, maybe they can take breaks together, depending on how they get along. Um, and if you have the student sitting probably in the middle of the classroom, away from the window and the doors, then they'll be more focused on you. And I think also if they have like earplugs or um, noise canceling devices when they need to focus on a test or reading, that's good. Um, Fidget spinner would probably be good too, because then they can play with that while they're listening to you. Whatever works for you as a teacher and whatever works for your students. All right, the third article is titled Concrete Distractions, um, 11 Homework Tips for Students with ADHD from November of last year. 1, create a structured routine. Routine is important for anyone, especially children. However, neurodivergent children, like those with ADHD or autism, or NLD, have an even more intense need for a structured routine. It helps keep them on task. Break tasks into smaller steps. People with ADHD, autism, or NLD often experience a type of task paralysis, even if a task seems small and manageable to a neurotypical person. The person with ADHD or neurodivergent may find it overwhelming, even if they are more than capable of it. Something as small as writing an outline can feel like climbing a mountain without climbing gear, so they'll procrastinate. For example, let's revisit the outline. Write an outline is a somewhat complex task, so can you simplify it? Consider all the small steps that go into it and break them down into a checklist that looks something like this. Gather your writing materials, collect your research, collect your notes, brainstorm section themes or ideas, bullet point your ideas within each section, brainstorm a thesis based on those ideas. 3, use a planner or organizer. Planners and organizers can be game changing for students with ADHD and other neurodivergent students. Unfortunately, those students are also the ones who struggle the most to use those tools. It takes some amount of focus to even use a planner, but it's worth it. 4, a dedicated study space. This is crucial. Students, especially those with ADHD or neurodivergent students, can really benefit from having a special study space. No more doing homework in bed or on the couch if the student is struggling to stay on task. 5, take regular breaks. Sitting down for long periods of time working on a single task can be challenging for anyone, but especially challenging for students with the ADHD. After a certain point, focus just disappears. Taking breaks is crucial, and while it may seem distracting, it can actually help the student stay on task. Incorporate short breaks into study sessions. Short, frequent breaks can help manage restlessness and maintain concentration. Use a timer to remind the student to take breaks and return to tasks. I was taking a water break. 6, use visual aids and timers. Sometimes people with ADHD have a hard time conceptualizing things. Visual aids can help them with that. Visual aids such as charts, diagrams, or coded notes. Sorry, color coded notes can help with organization and understanding concepts. Timers can be used to create a sense of urgency and structure for tasks. Sorry, I'm having a very dry throat today. I'll be right back. Sorry, I had a tickle to get rid of. Incorporate movement. Let's talk about movement. Many people with ADHD benefit from movement of some kind when they're trying to focus. To onlookers, they seem fidgety and distracted, but they are actually trying to improve their focus. Establish a reward system. Who doesn't love a reward? Rewards offer positive reinforcement for good behavior. In this case, that behavior is completing tasks. Associate those tasks with nice things. Offer the students small rewards after finishing specific assignments or reaching certain milestones. You can start with a small mini tasks that we discussed earlier. When you first start establishing the reward system, you can even reward behaviors like getting school supplies together or writing something down in the planner. Number 9, use focus tools and apps. Consider encouraging the use of tools and apps designed to improve focus and productivity. Some apps offer features like task management, time tracking, and reminders. Number 10, avoid unnecessary distractions. How many distractions are surrounding your child when they're trying to get their work done? Try to see things from their perspective. Where is their study area? If it's in front of a window, is it somewhere they can see other kids playing outside while they're stuck inside working? Is it too close to the television or other devices enough so that they can watch from their desk? Number 11, and the last one, seek support. Your child doesn't have to deal with ADHD alone. With proper support, they can thrive in the classroom, communicate with teachers about any challenges, and discuss possible accommodations or support for the student with ADHD or other neurodivergent students. Having a support system can make the learning environment more conducive to focus. Close quote. Okay, so that article was actually really good because it suggests a lot of different things you can do. I'll go back over just the main names of each one. Um, so the first one was create a structured routine. Second one was to break things into smaller steps. Third one was to use a planner or organizer. Fourth one was designate a dedicated study space. Fifth one was take irregular breaks. Sixth one was use visual aids and timers. Seventh one was incorporate movement. Eighth one was establish a reward system. Ninth was use focused tools and apps. 10 was avoid unnecessary distractions. And 11 was seek support. So those are actually really good ones for any neurodivergent student, I would say, even if you don't have ADHD. And actually, I did a similar thing with myself in college. I so what I would do, because my mom was helping me with my essays quite a bit, um, the last 2 years, she would help me with every essay to proofread them and them flow better and read better, and make more sense. Um, Basically, once I was done with the essay draft and she was going to comment on it, what I would do, I usually needed a break at that point. So I would go take truffles on a walk, or I would go for a run for about an hour while she was doing her comments. And then I would come back and look over the comments and make more changes. And basically keep repeating that process if I needed to take breaks each time she did commenting. And that worked really well because even though I was taking about an hour or an hour and a half break or 30-minute break, whatever, um, I was still thinking about the assignment while I was on break, even though I didn't really want to. That's what happened because I was walking outside or I was running, and your brain kind of goes on autopilot when you're working on assignment for a very long time, at least mine does, and still thinks about it. And it actually made it better for me doing it that way and taking breaks because I got a lot more done that way and I was a better student. So I would encourage you to do things like that because then you can, you know, then it makes it easier for you to do your work and you get less distracted and then you're able to, um, excuse me, you're able to, you know, get more things done and be more productive. So I hope these articles gave you some tips to share with your friends who are neurodivergent, or maybe you're neurotypical and you have challenges getting things done as well. Or you're neurodivergent yourself and you want to have some more skills on time management and getting rid of distractions and getting things done. That's what this goal was with this episode. So I will talk to you guys next week. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye.
I hope that episode was well worth it for you to listen to and that you were able to take something away from it, even if you don't have a learning challenge, or if you do. I hope it was extra worthwhile for you so that you are able to learn something and maybe journal and jot down some few takeaways so that the next time you experience that challenge yourself, you're able to um, learn how to breathe through it more easily, or maybe not have a meltdown or a tantrum, or be able to take away more learning from it and not make the same mistake twice, and be able to also help somebody else go through that experience if you have a friend who has a learning difference and you are neurotypical. So I hope you will be able to have those some experiences in your life now that you have listened to this episode.